We're going to talk about another component of the site analysis, which is understanding how the sun is going to affect the actual design. Right? So, in this case, we need to understand a couple of things. We need to understand the orientation of the sun according to your site. That is why it's very important that you always place in your site analysis where is north, so we can be able to identify where is east, which is where we get our sunrise, and where is west, where we get our sunset. So those are going to be our two important points. And we start to understand that if this is where we get our sunrise, we get this path, this sun path that it moves, right? And you can see here that we have in parentheses, we have summer, and at the same time we have winter. So those are going to be our two big important times, or what we call the summer solstice and what we call the winter solstice. Those are going to be our highest points, and it's going to give us the closer data to be able to understand how the sun is going to affect. All right, so again, it goes back to understanding: do you want a lot of light to come in? Do you want to block the light? Do you want this could affect the heating of the building? This could affect the light coming through into the building. So it's really going to affect your design. So it's important to understand how the sun's going to move. So the first thing again is understanding that, knowing where your north, east, west, and south is, so you'll be able to orientate it. And as you continue to design, you're able to sort of like again start creating this sort of schematic diagrams to represent, right, this sort of summer and winter sort of paths, how they're moving within your site. So the first thing, let's try to understand what is a little bit of the summer solstice. So I won't go into depth in regards to that, to understanding the summer winter solstice. So I do recommend you do like a quick search and try to get a better understanding. But that's sort of going to be like the longest day of the year, and it's when we really get to get more a better, clear data for our analysis. So, very easy search, a Google search can give you the summer solstice dates. So, I know here the summer is June 2024. So, you can always just do the search and it'll tell you the exact day, time, and all these things. So, I already have my information. So, now I can start to analyze my site. So, there's different websites that you can go to. One website can be suncalc.org. In this case, I'm going to be using this as the example. I've already inputted my data here, or my address, so I can know where it is. So I'm going to be using this building as the example to analyze. So given the location that I provided here, it already shows the sort of the path. I can also start to sort of move this, and we can see where it goes. But I can click here and I can change that to a possible different date. So I'm going to use that summer solstice, which is June 20th. I'm going to go 6/20/24. So I'm going to go for June 20th, 2024. And I can even change the time, right, that it's at about 3 p.m. So I can get that going. So now you can see how that changed from where it had it before, right? And it goes back to the same thing. I can sort of start to create, walk with that path and see the types of shadows that it could create, or exactly where it's going to be happening. I can move this and I can have a better understanding, right? And this gives you a little bit of an understanding of the time and so on. So that's one site that you can do. Another one that you can also explore is called Sun Earth Tools. It's pretty similar in what it does, but I'll explain a little bit more as to how this one could also be useful. Again, the first thing that I would do, I just simply input my address. And in this case, it takes me to this place, right? This is where I've been sort of working with what you saw in the previous one. So first is knowing, locating it. And if for some reasons this doesn't work, you can also just search within the map until you find your location. In this case, I know where I'm going to be at, and so I'm going to also do the same thing. I'm going to input my time, so we know that my summer solstice is 6/24, 2024, and it's about, we said 15. There we go. And I'm going to set it, and then I'm going to run execute. So I can run my settings so that these settings can actually change. And you can see it provides this number. This number is going to be what's going to be important. This one creates also more of the points rather than the actual sort of analysis or movement, but you can get right a very similar effect. So we inputted our data, and so now we got this number, which I'm going to copy and show you where to input it next. So now that we've got this one, you can also explore this website called andermarsh.com. It's going to do something similar where you can import your model. In this case, I've modeled this in SketchUp. So I'm going to take a quick pause to show you how I modeled that. So there's a couple of ways of how to model this. And again, goes back to this same building that I have it here. Now I want to just create a more of a 3D sort of representation of it. So the way I did that is there's a couple of ways. One way is going to this website called CAD Mapper. So if you can see, I can go in CAD Mapper and I can find the same location. And here you can search for a location similar as you've been doing before. Once you find your location, in my case, I'm going to export it to SketchUp, but you can choose any of these files. DXF also works pretty good if you want to have a more vague sort of file. And in this case, I do want to have 3D models, and I'm going to get everything else. So I'm going to click Create File, and because of that, you're able to sort of get to download the actual file, and as you can see, it gives you an actual site sort of map that you can download and bring into a software. You can see kind of there's still things missing, such as sidewalks and things like that, which could other websites could actually possibly help, such as Topo Expert also is a website that could possibly give you very similar results. So if you're able, you can, as you can see, I can bring it here. I can sort of get that as well. You can see if you want to see buildings, roads, and so on. You can also do a 3D model, building, roads. So something similar should be able to happen. In this case, I just left it as a DXF, and I can bring it in. So now I can actually bring it into SketchUp. So in this case, I've already brought it in by clicking File, Import, and then searching for that file that I've just downloaded. I've already brought it in, so as you can see, right, I was able to bring the whole file in, and so it came with, I already deleted some things, so if I were to bring it in one more time just to see the original file, we can see that there's a lot of things that actually came in with the file, that you can see it's there. It comes in with the whole sort of buildings and so on. So in my case, right, you can also sort of enter that group, and I've downloaded this extension called Enerot Face Creator. By clicking on that, it creates faces for all these different things, right? And then I can go in and I can start extruding or making to a different height. Since they come in flat, I can double click it, and then I can actually give it a height that I need. I do want to be as close as possible. So one way, there's different ways of actually doing this, but a pretty simple that can give you an idea is going to Google Earth. So if we go to Google Earth, we're able to find the same place in my case. Let me see if I can refresh that so we can actually go back to where I was. Here we go. We're in Google Earth, and you can see the same building that we've been working with. If I hover my mouse over this, first of all, I did change my settings from feet, from meters to kilometers. You can choose whichever works best for you. If I hover my mouse over this, I'll see that at the bottom right here, this is 98 feet or 100. And if I hover my mouse over this, it'll say 131. So that's saying that this is about 100 feet above sea level, but this one's 131. So if you do the math, you find out it's about 31 feet difference. So I did that with all the different buildings here, and I extruded them, and I was able to pull them out. You can also bring an actual screenshot of the uh, actual Google Maps. So if you actually you can actually go here, right, on, and do a 2D view. Right, you can take a screenshot. You can import this image into SketchUp, and you're able to draw the missing remaining things if you need to. Right? In this case, I'm only going to focus on height, and because I'm doing the sun analysis. So I'm able to get my heights. So I'll go back to SketchUp, and so I'm actually going to delete everything that I don't really need, similar as to what I've done here, and I'm going to select only what I need, or I'm going to delete everything that I don't need, or hide, whichever, it's up to you. I'm going to hide everything that I don't need. Then I can do File, select it, I can do File, Export, 3D Object, and I'm going to save it as an OBJ file. Once I've actually saved that file, we can go back to our website that we had, which was this Andrew Marsh. In this case, right, we can bring loader object, and so in this case, I actually had deleted a bit more. I deleted everything, and I just left the actual building. So I only wanted to focus on that building for now. So it goes back to modeling, just deleting. In this case, what I did, just simply deleted everything that's not needed, right, and just exported the one that I do need, right, for that example. So going back to the website, I was able to bring it in here, loading my object. Second thing is you do need to input that number we copied from previous website. So remember we were here, we're able to copy this. It's not only going to give you the location, but it will also give you the settings of the time. So that's why this website, it's helpful. So we're going to go here, I'm going to input that, press OK, and you can see it sort of changes. In my case, I already had it pretty close, so this didn't change drastically. Here we can change the settings if you want to be faster and so on, but I'm just going to click play, and you can see how it starts to create an animation of the sun analysis of this building, and it'll just keep creating this sort of loop, and you can sort of start to understand, right, where is it exactly hitting a bit more, the same as also as to where it's actually going to create. And there's other ways that you can eventually do more in depth, and this can give you a sort of a starting point for your sun analysis. So as you come to a conclusion, right, you can go back to Google Earth and try to analyze everything, but at the end you're able to fully understand how the sun is going to move by understanding the summer, winter solstice, understanding its path, understanding what areas of your design will be affected the most.